You a round ball guy at all?
No, I'm really not a sports fan. I just didn't grow up a sports fan. Like my parents aren't sports fans, so it just never was a part of it. I definitely got into Coach Corn's team, things like that. But if it's not something like that, I'm probably not interested in it.
So how'd you get into playing football when you were a kid?
I was just good at it. I wasn't very good at a lot of other things in life. It turns out when you're pretty aggressive and you want to work out some problems, football's a good place to go do it at. And was good at it and just started doing it, and really appreciated all the lessons that it teaches you. And I think very influential from a coaching standpoint. I love getting coached. I love being around coaches, and so I think that was a big part of it also.
Was football the only sport that you played as a child?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did track and did some wrestling and stuff, but it was all just to make me a better football player. It was no doubt about it from the get-go, football.
Well, I think that anybody who watches the Rock and Lock before a game knows that you ran track.
Don't bring it up. My wife still doesn't like that. She it's like, I guess, makes her eyes bleed when she sees me out there running. I'd like to bring up my record that I've beat a lot of those players.
I'm saying we always talk about it on the radio, and we talked about it yesterday.
She's not a fan.
Good
I don't
form,
know what to tell you.
Good form, high knees.
High knees. That's what I said. And she really hates it when I lean at the 50.
Like you're going across
like
the
yeah. And she's not a fan, like I said.
No, she is here today, and for anybody that does not know or has not seen you drive around town, you have a pickup truck parked out front, and it is covered in SEMO logos and Southeast Missouri State stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So it's pretty hard to hide. John Sinclair at Nissan's a good friend and a great supporter to athletics, and I'm just happy that people want to co-brand with SEMO football. There was a time when I was here, that'd be the last thing you want to do to help your business. So I appreciate his support, but I definitely get a lot of the awkward stares, and my kids make me drop them off a block down the street. But
that's only going to get worse as they get older too.
So it just is what it is.
All right. Well, yeah, it's hard to blend when you're driving that vehicle, right?
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about your football team and the game yesterday at Houck Stadium, Austin Peay. It seems like, has this turned into a little bit of a rivalry? That was a chippy game yesterday. I mean, there was a lot of testosterone flying around on the field between SEMO and the Governors yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like that. I think just every game is. There's just – anytime it's a tight game and it's a contested game, like these kids care a lot. Like it just gets there. And certainly with all the penalties, where there's 24 penalties, they had 14, we had 12, right? Or so it was 26. But, I think we obviously had several stupid penalties that we hadn't been able to get off the film. But I also think we got to adjust as a program too, because – they seem to be calling the game different. Like flags are up just across the league, and basketball is a lot more like that. When you show up, how they let you? Are they going to let you play? Are they going to throw flags? Where now, we can't be on the edge at all. Like, in the past, you want to be on the edge in football, but now you just can't even get close to it. That's obviously what they're trying to do, and so we got to, keep doing a good job with it. 6 of the 12 were from first-year players. That's kind of the young team thing, and not that we're a young team, but we do have a lot of young players, first-year players playing. It's like Shabari's unbelievable punt return. A true freshman that was in high school last year hit a guy right in the back. I mean, just what you tell him not to do. But it's kind of easy on a board, and it's easy on film, but when you get out there in the heat of the moment, you want to make a play so bad for your teammates, and then you make a mistake like that. But he learned, and he played well, and, we got a punt blocked on, freshman didn't block his guy, just stuff like that is popping up. And, when it's a close ball game, those are the ones that end up tilting you to the loss column.
Well, if the officiating crew in that game gets paid by the penalty, then they drove home in Cadillacs yesterday. 26 for 200 and 55 yards, and Austin Peay had more penalties than you did, but it just seemed like, how hard is it to get in any kind of a rhythm in a game where you see so many flags flying?
Yeah, it's tough, and it's like our kryptonite right now. We haven't been able to get over the hump, but even though statistically it doesn't look like it, I do believe we're on a path to being better there. It takes a while. This isn't something you just say, hey, you need to do better, and it gets better. Like, you have to – it's a skill set, like catching a ball or tackling somebody. Handling your emotions is a skill set that we got to keep building and put them in those situations. And those young players learn and grow from those mistakes, and they don't repeat them. It's like 2 years ago we won all those fourth-quarter games because all those kids lost the fourth-quarter games in the previous year. You know what I mean? And now we got a lot of these new guys that have to learn those same kind of lessons.
So they come out and score the first touchdown. It comes after the block punt because they've got a short field, and it's just one play from their running back, Brian Snead, 41 yards. Now, in the previous game against Tennessee State, Brian Snead ran for 204 yards in one quarter against Tennessee State. That is a national FCS all-time record. Yeah. So you're saying, man, this is the leading rusher in the OVC, and his first touch, he goes 41 yards. This isn't just a guy that Austin Peay happened to find a diamond in the rough. This guy was recruited and was on the team at Ohio State University.
Yeah, for sure. He was a good player, and there's a reason he's not at Ohio State too now. But, we had him kind of hemmed up there, and he was just – what was unique about his running style is how patient he was. And, broke a couple tackles and certainly didn't start the game like we wanted. But that's also probably the greatest highlight from this game, if there is one, is how we did respond. Because we started the game rough. Block punt, 2 turnovers that could have gone either way. They weren't necessarily bad balls. It was just their guy made a play. And, got a little weird, but our kids were able to respond, where the week before it took us till the fourth quarter to respond. And this game, by the second quarter, we kind of overcome that.
Well, you overcame 2 different 13-point deficits. So they get the long run from Snead after the punt block, and then they get an interception, and they only have to go 46 yards for their second drive. So 2 short fields, and they take advantage. It's one thing if you force a turnover or you make a special teams play. What do you do with that opportunity with the short field? Well, Austin Peay took advantage of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. It doesn't count unless they get points. They were able to get points off of turnovers, which, certainly there were so many plays that could have went either way, too. I mean, it was just one of those wild games.
So at least on one interception, it looked like Johnny King had the ball, and the guy actually took it from him. I mean, on both of those interceptions, they didn't appear to be bad balls, Coach. Is that what you saw?
No, I think they were good balls. I think that's one of our issues. We weren't able to go outside 2 days last week because of all the rain. We had to go inside, and we weren't able to put the ball in the air, both offensive and defensive. We had 6 drop balls. Our defensive backs didn't play as good a game as they could have, and I just think that was because we weren't able to, throw the ball as much as we should have because of the rain and the lightning that we had. So we got to really make sure we get outside this week. I know Wednesday's going to be bad again, but we got to put the ball in the air and get those kids opportunities to make contested catches.
And that's one thing I think that people, if they really are watching the game itself, if you just go and look at a stat sheet and you say, okay, the completion percentage in a certain game, well, did you make good throws? Did the receivers make the catches? I mean, you had a chance for, several more receptions in that game, but it kind of, translates to the quarterback's numbers.
Yeah. So that's why it's so misleading. I mean, even Geno, I know he's here, and he didn't play a perfect game, but he played a good game and dropped some balls. But, again, we got to be able to throw it to him more, and he needs to build those skills and practice.
Okay, now, Geno Hess, when you say workhorse, that's a term that is used a lot in sports. But he was literally a workhorse. 38 carries in the football game. I mean, you've got to be a tough dude and you've got to be a durable dude to get 31 touches in a Division I football game.
Yeah, I mean, ever since he got here, he's been telling me that he wants to carry it 100 times a game. So we found out, and super proud of him. You know, he's a young player. You know, this is really his first year kind of in a starting role, and it's a great story that I hope my team learns from him. You know, he had the bad penalty at SIU, lost his emotions, and made a stupid penalty. He hadn't had one since. Like, he's learned and grown, and that's our team. Like, he can't make the same mistakes, and he hasn't. He's went and gotten better each week, and Zion was banged up, and normally we don't like running somebody that much, but he was able to do it. Man, he just found a way to get in the end zone, because a lot of those were contested.
Oh, especially that first run in overtime. I mean, how tough was that run?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of willed his way through there, and he looks like he's been eating at wings, et cetera, for a while. So I think that little extra caboose he's got's gotten him over the goal line.
So Geno ends up running for 115 yards, 4 touchdowns, and his longest run in the game was 20 yards. What I thought was interesting was how much, and I'm sure you chart this stuff. We're just watching it live, but I'm sure you break it down. Yards after contact yesterday for Geno Hess. This is not a guy that you're going to arm tackle, right?
Right, exactly. I think that's what he's done since SIU. Like, he has broke a lot of tackles, and that's what makes him hard to defend. He's got a great first cut. Like, he'll make a guy miss too, not just break an arm tackle. He's really good.
So, obviously, Zion Custis would have gotten some more touches in the football game. He was out there early. Then we didn't see him for almost the rest of the game, and then we saw him briefly there in the second half. Is this something that you hope is taken care of by Sunday?
Just don't know. He got hurt in the Murray game, and he just hasn't been that healthy. Didn't practice much and tried to go, but obviously wasn't as effective as he normally is.
And, it's not just missing Zion in the running game. He's one of your primary kick returners, too.
Yeah, and in the passing game, like that, that's a big part of what we do.
So Geno with a big game. Andrew Bunch ends up throwing it 37 times in the football game, and Bunch with a rushing touchdown. Rick and I were talking about right before that play happened, and boy, this would be a great time to run Andrew Bunch down here by the goal line, and that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, he had some nice hard runs. He put his head down and got in the end zone, and I'm not sure what our red zone was, but it was really good. I think we're only maybe one time didn't.
6 for 7 in the red zone.
It was really, really good. I think that was the exciting thing I've been on is just our offense. Like, the last 2 games have been a concern, and they really kind of came out, and you could just see them get better as the game went on. Like, our O-line and the receivers and Bunch and everybody just seems to be doing much better.
So they're up 13-0. And then you get the ball back. I think there was a penalty, and you started at your 7-yard line. So you're already down 13-0. Your drive starts at the 7, and you're thinking, man, oh, man, this is not the start that you wanted in the first quarter of the game. But you put together a 13-play, 93-yard drive that culminates with Andrew Bunch hitting Colby Cornett in the right side of the end zone. It was a terrific route, and that was a terrific drive, and I'm sure that gave you confidence, hey, we're back in this football game.
Yeah, and that's the responding that we're talking about, because it was after 2 or 3 really bad series on offense, right? And so to have that kind of drive just tells you that they are maturing and they're coming together.
So they respond by the 71-yard pass to Jay Parker. And for anybody that says you got to be a big, strong dude to play Division I football, that guy's listed at 5'7", 147 pounds. He's not even $150.
Yeah.
Guys like that can actually succeed in college football. But that was a great route and a great throw by their quarterback.
No doubt. And that was the story of the game. Defensively, we played well, but then we'd give up a big play, a long run or a long pass like that. We had cover 3 called, which is what you would want to be in with a high safety, and he just didn't have very good technique. And you know, you got to make offenses earn it. Like, you can't give up those type of big plays and expect to win games.
Their quarterback, Draylon Ellis, is a freshman. He had 1 touchdown coming into the game. He throws 6 touchdowns. That is a school record at Austin Peay. Did you think he was that good?
No. I knew he was a highly recruited guy, and you could just tell he got better, though. Those coaches did a good job. You know, his first game was probably on the bad end. The second game was probably better, but you didn't know what you're going to get. And this bye week, I think they did a good job. They kind of knew him better. They max protected. He threw the ball away right away. Anytime he got in trouble, you never didn't have those dumb freshman type of mistakes that normal guys have. And so, hats off to him and Austin Peay. They did a nice job.
You know, it's always a borderline situation when guys are not really visibly outside the pocket and they throw the ball out of bounds. There were a couple of plays there where it seemed like it bordered on intentional grounding. Did you see that? Do you have conversations with the officials in plays like that?
I think all of them were pretty solid. I think he did. You know, there was no missed calls there.
There was one where he rolled to the left, and from the press box, we couldn't tell if the ball got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's key because if you just roll and throw it away, it's got to at least get back to the line of scrimmage,
right? Exactly.
So he throws for 6 touchdowns in the game, and the touch that he had on some of these throws, I mean, sometimes guys were open, but other times your defenders were there, and he made some really good throws in the game.
I know. It's great balls beat great coverage. I mean, you know, that's like an NFL thing. Like, they're covered. Like, you would say, why are you even throwing it? But if you throw a good enough ball, you know, there's still a way to make a play.
So for the second time in the game, you're down by 13 points. It's 20-7, and again, you respond with a 54-yard drive. Geno Hess gets in the end zone, and then Andrew Bunch's run before halftime, and so you actually take the lead, down 13 twice in the first half. You've got a 1-point lead at halftime. What's your message at halftime to your football team in the locker room?
Well, we got the 1 turnover, I believe, right, that ended up getting us another score before half. Just, hey, great job responding. That couldn't have started any worse. We got back in it. Now we got to keep going. You know, obviously, offensively, stay out of the negative yardage plays. We're getting a lot of negative yardage plays. You know, defensively, you got to eliminate the big play. You got to make them drive it.
So you're up 21-20, and one thing I'll say, I don't know, I'm sure Jeff Hansa probably charged something like this. It seemed like they had at least 6 or 7 video reviews, and some of them, I mean, on the interception, or whether or not by Darius Knighton, you know, it was going to be an interception or whether the ball hit the ground. I mean, they were over there for a long time. That's as many reviews as I can remember since, you know, they installed review in the Ohio Valley Conference.
No, I agree. There was a lot of plays like that. We benefited. You know, the one they called good on the sideline down towards the tents. You know, the big play they caught, and then it ended up.
That was a good call. You could see the ball squirt out.
You know, and without instant replay, that would have been a first down right there. And so, glad that we have that kind of technology.
What did you see on the interception? Because from one angle that we saw, it looked like the ball hit the ground. You may have gotten a break on that, but they call. I think maybe the key in a spot like that is what was the call on the field. They called interception. They looked at it forever, and I guess they just couldn't see enough to overturn it. So you got that call. That was a big call.
Big call, and it was the same thing. You couldn't tell. It looked like it could have hit his hand right there. And so, again, if that was called incomplete, it probably would have held up. So, like you said, you know, whatever the call on the field is going to stand most of the time.
So they take, this going into the locker room, that they are going to get the football first. They won the coin toss. They deferred, so you know they're going to get the opening kickoff. They drive it down, pretty impressive drive. They end up stalling, and they try for a 37-yard field goal. Now, he misses it wide right, but it was into the wind. How much did the wind affect play yesterday?
A lot more than you think. It was kind of windy, and it was kind of turning as the game went on. The wind was shifting a little bit, but the kicking game for sure we ended up kicking and pinning them down there inside the 5 once because of the wind kind of made it die. And, it was a huge, huge piece of the game.
And it was interesting, too, in overtime, you chose to go into the wind. What was the thought process there?
I just think every big game I've won has been on that end. I think that's where all the tents are. There's a lot more energy right there. So if you're at home, you want home field advantage, right? And so I choose that because of the home field advantage.
So there was some actual thought put into which way do you want to go, and the wind really didn't have anything to do with it. Now, they chose to put the wind at their back and go to the other end zone when they went on offense.
And I don't think it's even that, probably. I don't think the wind was affecting offense and defense. I think it was affecting the kicking game more. And a lot of times they like to clock. They like to go into the clock and see the clock.
One kickoff that you had in the football game, I don't know that you can have a kickoff any more perfect. It just barely came inside the pylon and out of the end zone, unreturnable, and a touchback. I mean, because guys are bringing it out of the end zone. You never know if somebody's going to break one. You can't have a better kickoff than that unless you kick it out of the back of the end zone, right?
And we subbed in Kenny Doak, and he did a nice job there. He kind of just took a PAT field goal approach and, did a great job.
So one of the big reasons that you had the lead at halftime was Bryson Donnell. He blocked the extra point. So even though you gave up that touchdown early, Donnell made a play and ends up blocking the PAT. What'd you see?
Just tremendous, huge inside push. That guy's playing really, really good. Had a great game against Murray, too. Just super happy for him.
So it's 21-20. They miss the field goal, and eventually they take the lead. Eugene Minter on a pass from Draylon Ellis. And then they end up going for 2. And did they show any of the Wildcat that they ran in the game? I mean, I know they put Harley back there a couple of times with Wildcat. Did you see that on film prior to the game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not those plays. They ran a little different out of it. And they had the kind of a trick play to get the 2-point play, and it came down to missed tackle. But, that was huge because it got it back on schedule.
Boy, Harley caught 4 touchdown passes. He's not a real tall guy, but he is thick and muscular. And
looks like a running back.
Yeah, he's more athletic than he looks.
Yeah, no, I agree. He did a nice job.
So they're up 28-21. You come back and tie the game on another Geno Hess touchdown run. So it's 28-28. They recapture the lead on a 71-yard drive, and then one of the most epic drives I've ever seen. You get the football back with 7:44 to play in the game. You're down by a touchdown. 7:44 left. You go on an unbelievable 21-play, 75-yard drive that took 7:21 off the clock. And one of the more incredible things, you convert 4 fourth downs on one drive. I'm not sure I've ever seen that.
Yeah, no. It was tough because the first 4th down we could have punted it, tried to pin them and do that game. So it was a little bit iffy on just the call. I was nervous about it, but our offense needed that. Our team needed that. I think coming out of this game, our offense has more belief than they went into it. So just some huge plays and good protection, and Bunch made some great throws. And I think Z Smith, I don't know if we mentioned him yet on the show, but he had a great game. Had several 3rd down catches.
His first 4 catches, Coach, 3 of them were 3rd down catch conversions. The other was a 4th down catch conversion. I mean, how do you do better than that?
No, exactly. And he ran the ball hard, too, after. And you should see him blocking, and I'm happy for him.
So you tie the game. They are not going to be able to go the length of the field in 22 seconds or however much time was left. So you're going overtime. What's the message to your team here as you gather them up and you're getting ready to play overtime?
I mean, I felt good because I think their kicker, was an issue. Obviously we blocked one and he missed one. So because one thing is, it was on my radar to go for 2. How tired of their defense, right? They've been out there forever and all those things. So there was this point, well, do we go for 2 right now and try to win the game, or do you take it to overtime? And I just felt like, you play the odds because of their kicking game. Like I thought we maybe are better there, and so if it come down to a field goal, it didn't. But if it did, I liked our chances, so that's kind of why I opted for overtime.
It seemed to me, and I can't prove it, it seemed like their coach didn't trust their kicker.
Yeah.
There were times where
you'd have kicked it, but they
right.
went for it on fourth down, so that's the whole.
That sends a message to you,
yeah,
though,
exactly. They didn't have any belief with it, too, so,
The current overtime rules are you can kick the extra point through 2 overtimes. In the third overtime, you have to start going for 2. I know I saw an article, and it said that the competition committee was discussing altering overtime rules. Have you heard that, and what have you heard?
Yeah, and then, the fifth overtime is just 2-point plays.
That's
the change.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we'd have went to fifth, you just line up and you try 2 points until, one team doesn't get it.
Who was it? It was LSU and someone else where they went like 9 overtime. I think that probably initiated the discussion.
Yeah, right.
So in overtime, too, when you go for the coin toss, you instruct your guys. I mean, you want to play defense if you win the toss in overtime. It's the only time that you're going to win a coin flip and say we want to play defense, right?
Exactly. That way you know what you got to get on offense. So if they score a touchdown, you got 4 downs all the way to get a touchdown. And then if it's a field goal, it's a different situation. So you always want to start on defense.
Did you think, with the way Geno ran that first play in overtime, did you think, hey, this may be a tired defense we're going up against?
Yeah. No, it felt really good, going into that. And, we'll get to defense, but basically a couple of those route conversations, they stacked, and we didn't play it very good. And, they were able to make those plays.
It's funny. We talked about it at the coaches show last week because Murray ran a couple of slants in the football game, and you and I were talking about, hey, if a slant play is run properly, it is one of the tougher plays to defend on defense, right? I mean, and they ran a couple that he made just perfect throws on.
Perfect throws, fourth down. It was like I said. They made one more play than us,
and that's all it came down to. So the final possession there in the second overtime, offensively, what did you see?
More of the same. I think they did a great job. We ended up, having an MA up front, got behind the change, and then it was 4th and 10. We got them to jump offside, so then 4th and 5, and then we had the route was wide open, but the protection got there, and he wasn't able to get the ball delivered on that 4th and 5. But, just kind of a hard way to lose a game. Anytime you lose a close game, you play the what if we do this or we do that. You just go down this whole train. But the answer is just get better. And if enough of us get better, then we as a program get better, and then maybe that's enough to win a game. That's the focus. Like you just got to focus on getting better and living in the past or not owning up to your responsibilities doesn't help you get better. So that's where all this starts.
Boy, it was also impressive that you got the offense jump-started again in the fourth quarter. In the third quarter, you had 9 yards of offense. Neither team scored in the third quarter, but 9 yards of offense. But you got it jump-started in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
The third quarter did not trickle into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was kind of that cat and mouse game. They were doing something defensively. We adjusted in the second quarter and got them offensively, and then we thought they were going to do kind of the same plan. They kind of adjusted, and then we kind of adjusted. And that's one thing I really appreciate. I think our offensive guys did a really good job of making some adjustments. We got 3 new coaches on offense, and so it takes some time to be able to work with each other and get things adjusted in the heat of a game. You got 2-minute series to get things worked out. It's not on video,
And if you just look at the numbers, I pulled them up earlier. Right now, you're the number 1 scoring offense in the conference.
Yeah, well, how about let's get more wins?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I've done a lot of both. I've lost a lot, and we've won a lot, and winning's a lot better.
So they end up making the play at the end, and it's a play where you rolled Andrew Bunch out of the pocket. It looked like once you started doing that, in in the first half of the game. Once you started doing it, he was very accurate on the run. It looked like he kind of settled in once you started moving him around in the pocket.
No, like you said, it was very effective. A lot of those third downs we had were on that, and that 4th and 5 was, they got through there and was able to disrupt the timing because the route was open for sure.
Okay, so you're going to get set for Jacksonville State. We'll talk about them after we talk with Geno Hess. Tell us about recruiting Geno Hess, because the numbers, Coach, that he put up in high school were absolutely amazing. 2,800 yards his junior year, 44 touchdowns. They win a state championship, but 44 touchdowns. I mean, he was a beast in high school.
Yeah, he was. He's a super productive player in high school, and we like that. He's from Illinois, it's just one of those things. We really liked his productivity. We didn't get to see him in camp necessarily, but we did a good job finding him. I'm not sure why he chose SEMO, probably because of the head coach's swag level. He wanted to play for me, but you'd have to ask him.
And according to his bio, one of 3 players on his state championship team to rush for at least 1,000 yards. How often do you see 3 1,000-yard rushers on the same team?
Oh, I know. He comes from a really good program. Like their coach does a really good job coaching, and that was another thing that I really liked him, both culturally and on the football field. He came in with a lot of skill sets already taught.
And his competition level, Coach, because I know you think you know about a guy's competition level until you get him, and then you see him on a daily basis. Then you find out what is a guy's competition level.
And that's sometimes it's a small school, if they don't have enough numbers you don't know. But at the end of the day, if the guy's dominating, he's dominating, right? Jerry Rice played it for FCS, and the NFL said, well, it's a different level. Well, so it's that same thing,
Walter Payton played at Jackson State.
So again, it's that same thing. Just because it's maybe from a smaller school doesn't mean you're not just as good.
All right, we're going to talk with Geno Hess. 4 touchdowns yesterday for the Red Hawks. When we come back, then we'll talk about the big bad Jacksonville State Gamecocks with Coach Tom Matukowicz. We'll take a timeout. It's the Red Hawks Coaches Show from Wings Etc. on SEMO ESPN.
Deal of the week from Anytime Athletics and Events in Cape Girardeau. We've got 2.5 hours of party time. That's private use of the facility along with an unlimited number of guests. Price tag $150. You get it for half price, $75. On sale this Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Online at riverradiodeals.com. That's riverradiodeals.com.
Your reigning Prospect League West Division champs, the Cape Catfish, are back and looking for a place to splash down this season.
You know where Macomb, Illinois is?
Yeah,
I'm from there.
Like free season tickets.
Location next week after the Red Hawks go down and play the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. The director of strategic communications, I've got to always remember it's different now. Jeff Hansa lets us know that Jacksonville State, by virtue of their win over the weekend, they have moved up to number 8 in the rankings, and Murray State remains undefeated, and they are in the top 25 now. Murray State, number 25, Jacksonville State, number 8. So I wanted to pass that along before we talk with Geno Hess, who had quite a game yesterday. Now, we get to talk to you the day after. How do you feel the day after a football game where you carried the ball 38 times?
I'm tired and body's beat up, just trying to recover today.
So when on a normal week, when you play, obviously normally you play on Saturday. High school you played on Friday, but now we're playing on Sundays. What day of the week do you feel like, I'm close to back to being 100%?
I could probably say about the Wednesday, the middle of the week. Tuesday would be our new Monday, so I say Wednesday. I could say I'm ready to go.
So you find out early in the game that Zion Custis is probably not going to be available for his normal workload. What's your thought process then, knowing that, hey, they're probably going to be leaning on me a little bit more in this football game?
Well, it just made me realize that I had to grow up a little bit, be a leader, because, people behind me, you got Sheminsky, you got Eddie, 2 new guys to the system, and just keeping them ready and trying to make sure my body language is best so they can, feed off my energy.
What is it about you around the goal line? You have a nose for the end zone. And some guys are great, maybe between the 20s, and they're good running backs, flashy. But the hard yards down by the goal line, some guys are really skilled at that. Other guys not so much.
It's just trusting what I'm taught and getting down there, knowing we worked so hard to get to the red zone. Why not just score?
That's a great answer. We're already down here. Let's go ahead and punch it in. We'll put it in. Tell us about that run to start overtime, and I don't know how many tackles you broke or guys that you ran over. Take us through that run that set up the touchdown in overtime.
It was a counter play called by Coach McDowell, and just trusting my blockers, trusting they're gonna get everybody, and then when you see open space, just run, just believe in your speed.
And what is your thought process when you see maybe a linebacker coming and there's going to be a collision? Is it? Is there something that do you square up? What's your usual MO to divvy out a little punishment as well?
Well, I gained a lot of weight now, so I can take those hits. I can give out those hits, and if I got to make them miss, I can make them miss.
That was a chippy football game yesterday. How much smack talk was going on the field yesterday?
Yeah, quite a lot. Everybody's going to say what they want to say. It won't be heard. At the end of the day, you just got to play ball.
How often do you get in a football game where there is smack talk and you just kind of end it with scoreboard?
Yeah.
What's the scoreboard say?
You just got to point at the scoreboard. At the end of the day, the winner's going to get the last laugh.
So what was it like? You had a touchdown. They actually reviewed 2 of your touchdowns, but the first one, I know you came off the field and it was high fives and they're lining up to kick the extra point. But then they go to the replay and they're like, hey, Geno, come back over here. We may have to go back onto the field. What goes through your mind when they're looking at the replay? And did you think that you had gotten in on that first replay of your touchdown?
I believed I scored, and I was like, when they said be ready to go back in, so I grabbed my helmet, just ready to go back in. But I knew that I had got in, so I wasn't worried about it.
So when they look at the replay so many times in a football game, is that a good thing sometimes or a bad thing? Does it give guys a chance maybe to catch their breath, or do you not like the disruption? Hey, we got a rhythm thing going here. Now we have a big pause in the action.
It's 50-50. Sometimes you're tired and you want the break, and sometimes you're like, come on, let's hurry up and get it over with.
So you are from Peoria, Illinois, and I'm going to guess, what is it? Would you say it's a 5-hour drive from Cape? Is it about 5 to get to Peoria?
About 4 or 5 hours, yeah.
Okay. So what was it like growing up in Peoria? It's one of the large. Obviously it's not Chicago, but it's one of the larger cities in Illinois.
Yeah, it's great. It was great growing up. A lot of people know everybody. You grow up with everybody, play sports with everybody. It's just everybody knows each other.
So did you play anything other than football growing up?
Yeah, I did a little bit of everything. I did track, played basketball. I wrestled for a little bit.
So wrestling, how'd you like wrestling? Because I know football coaches really like wrestlers because guys that wrestle know leverage, and football coaches love it when guys know leverage.
I did wrestling till about the 7th grade, but wrestling and basketball was at the same time. And I wanted to go to the NBA, so I wanted to play basketball.
NBA. How tall are you?
I'm about 5'8" now.
Okay. Can you dunk?
Close.
Close. All right. Have you ever dunked a volleyball?
No, not yet.
Tennis ball?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because that's the way we work it up when we're in high school. You know, we can get above the rim. Okay, I can get the tennis ball. Can I get the volleyball? I could never get the basketball. I could get the volleyball a few times. But so, boy, this team that you had, is your junior year you won the state championship?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was that like, a run to win a state title? Because, man, it's hard. A lot of things have to go your way to win a state championship.
It was a great run. We all bought into the system, and we had all great players. We just believed in what our coach taught us every game, and we just took it game by game.
So usually when you've got a state championship team, there are more often than not multiple guys that go on to play college football. How many guys went on to play college ball on that team?
A lot. We had 2 players go to Illinois. We had some players go D2. It was a lot of players.
All right. Tell us about when you were contacted to come to Southeast Missouri State, when you started being recruited by SEMO.
It was my junior year. I remember I came up here on like a junior day of visit. It was a practice day, and then Coach Duke offered me the same day, and it was my first and only offer, and the rest is history.
But I'm sure you've got letters from other schools, but no actual offers.
Yeah, just letters.
What name some of the schools that had corresponded with you, sent you letters?
Illinois, of course, SIU, Northern Illinois. A lot of schools in state, Illinois State too.
Well, we're glad you decided to go out of state. I'm an Illinois guy too. I'm surprised Western Illinois didn't offer you.
Yeah.
No recruiting from Western?
No, not really.
Well, that's why they're not winning many football games. They're not recruiting guys like you. I grew up watching the Leathernecks in Macomb. So winning a state championship, we mentioned that you had 44 touchdowns. I mean, you had to lead the team. I know you had 2 other guys that rushed for over 1,000 yards. I'm guessing your high school football coach recognized early the nose for the goal line, which we see here at SEMO.
Yeah, it really started the first game, and because a lot of our receivers got hurt in the preseason, so eventually we had to know and I believe we had a great O-line, so he just said we're going to run the ball until they stop it.
Any O-linemen go play college?
Yeah, Kendrick Green went to go play at Illinois. He just declared for the NFL draft. Our center went to go play at Upper Iowa, and then Marcus Cox is at Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois. All right, they've had some success there. Coach Tuke was at Northern Illinois for a while. So let's talk about whether you grew up a Bears fan or not. No. So you weren't a fan of the Monsters of the Midway. Who was your football team growing up?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys fan. All right. Well, who were your favorite players when you became a Cowboy fan?
They had Tony Romo. The running back was Marion Barber at the time.
Right.
So I just go play with him on Madden and just run around all day with him. Tony
Romo was ridiculous in college. Obviously, SEMO played him all 4 years that he was at Eastern Illinois. That is I believe, is an underrated quarterback. I know there weren't a whole lot of playoff wins while Romo was the quarterback, but he was a solid football player.
Yeah. Him, Dez Bryant at the time. Dez Bryant caught the ball. They just didn't want Tony Romo to win the Super Bowl that year. That's why they caught it.
Boy, he definitely caught that football.
Yeah.
I think they've even adjusted the rule in the NFL because of the Dez Bryant play.
They did. It's like now it has to be more controlled inbounds, and they go to replay about it.
All right. What are your thoughts about your team signing Dak Prescott to a $160 million deal?
Super Bowl.
You better get some defensive players here in the offseason.
That's where we need to start at, defense.
Jerry Jones needs to think about drafting some guys on the defensive side of the ball. What I thought was amazing, in 1989, Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys for $140 million. He just paid his quarterback $160 million. The last Forbes valuation of the Dallas Cowboys $140 million is what he bought him for in '89, and people said, hey, he overpaid for that franchise when he bought it. They are now worth $5.5 billion. Your Cowboys, without a whole lot of Super Bowls, are a pretty popular football team.
Yes, sir. America's team.
So have you visited the new Jerry World, the new stadium?
I have. I actually have played in the Cowboy Stadium in high school.
Tell us about that.
It was about in January. I played with the USA team. I think we played Team Canada. We ended up winning, and we practiced all week in Dallas. And the game was at the stadium. And we lost to the Packers again, actually, in the playoffs.
So I would think if you're on the sideline playing in a football game, how hard is it not to look up at that big video board the whole time?
It was very hard. I watched the game from there from the sideline.
All right, tell us what it's like to get in a football game and score 4 touchdowns. What was that like? What's the, for some of people that have never played football or scored touchdowns, what's it like to have a game like you did yesterday? I know you wanted to win the football game, but what's it feel like to put together a game like that?
It's just really going with the flow of the game. You don't count how many touchdowns you have during the game. People usually tell you, but you don't let that just get to your head, because then eventually you're going to think, oh, I have to score. Then if you're just trying to score touchdowns, you're not going to make the right reads, make the right cuts.
I know when a high school player comes to a college program, the word that they never want to hear is redshirt. Nobody wants to redshirt. I understand that. I've talked to a lot of guys who did redshirt, and then their 5th year, their senior year, how many of them have told me, man, I'm glad I redshirted. I didn't want to, but, man, now I'm glad that I redshirted. What was that like for you? Because you got to play in the Tennessee Tech game. I think was that the game we scored 70?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like 70. And you got in the game, and everybody could see, woo, SEMO's got a good running back here. And then you end up redshirting. Is that a tough thing?
I'd say freshman year was tough. Just coming from high school, and you're always like, I'm gonna play. And then you just got to take the back seat, and it's really just you got to learn from the people in front of you.
And some of the guys who you kind of looked up to when you were a freshman, start naming some names.
So when it was Quez senior, so we just all looked up to Quez and we watched the work Quez put in.
Is he as good a football player as you have played with during your career, Marquez Terry?
Yeah, he's one of the best people I have played with. He's even a better person.
That's what Coach Tuke always talked about, how good of a teammate he was. Comment on Marquez Terry and how good of a teammate he was.
It was always bigger than football with him. He had handshakes with everybody. He was making sure everybody had a ride, and he just make sure at the end of the day you're mentally straight.
So if it's only 4 or 5 hour drive, how often does your family get to watch you play?
They come to all the home games. They don't go. The only game they don't go for is Jacksonville State. It's too far.
Well, it is.
And then they go probably to a couple games in Tennessee.
All right, you guys knocked off Jacksonville State last year. That was a huge win. They had a big long winning streak that you snapped, and by losing that game, that may have kept them out of the playoffs. You guys end up going to the playoffs. What was it like last year going down to Jacksonville State and winning that game?
It was great because the year before we broke, I think, another streak of theirs,
Yep.
and then we did it again. It's just always great. Winning is just great.
And, the thing I remember about that game, wasn't it raining? I mean, it wasn't pouring, but it was just an annoying sprinkle the whole time. It seemed like it was a light rain the whole football game.
Yeah. In the beginning, it didn't rain. Then it started sprinkling, and it wouldn't stop. So, the ball got slippery, so the little things got difficult.
How much more of a challenge is it when the ball gets wet? I mean, you're touching the ball a lot in your position.
It's kind of – you just got to have better ball security because the ball's slippery, and you don't want to, the little things. The ball can just pop out of nowhere.
All right, you get ready to go down to Jacksonville State. How badly do you want to beat these guys?
I just want to win. That's it. It's not more than the other. At the end of the day, I just want to get back on the winning side of the football.
So it's your 3rd year in the program. If you had to say who SEMO's biggest rivalry team is that they play in the OVC, would you say it's Jacksonville?
I don't know. I just think every team's the same. Take every game as the same.
All right. We are going to head down there on Saturday. Long bus ride, right? I mean, And it's a little different this year, I guess. We asked Coach Tuca with the social distancing and the masks and everything. It's kind of an entirely different bus ride, and road trips are really different now, aren't they?
Yeah, everything's different. We live in a different world now ever since COVID, so we just got to adjust and adapt to what's going on.
All right, well, get in the hot tub, get some treatment, take care of those aches and pains. We may need you to carry it 38 times on Sunday.
Yes, sir.
All right, Geno, thanks so much for the time. Good
Thank
luck
you.
in Jacksonville. Geno Hess will be back with Coach Tuke to talk about the Gamecocks and the game on Sunday. It's the Red Hawks Coaches Show from Wings, etc.
Tweaks River Radio Deals half-price deal of the week from Anytime Athletics and Events in Cape Girardeau. We've got 2.5 hours of party time. That's private use of the facility along with an unlimited number of guests. Price tag $150. You get it for half price, $75. On sale this Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Online at riverradiodeals.com. That's riverradiodeals.com.
Immediately upon walking in, all the flat screen televisions with the latest sports. The St. Louis Blues are playing in Los Angeles tonight, late night game. You want to watch some Blues hockey, you can do it here. And, of course, the NCAA basketball tournament is coming up, and they will have all the games right here at Wings, etc. Coach Tom Matukowicz rejoins us. Good to talk with Geno Hess. He's a good young man, isn't he?
He is. He's, that's the fun part about my job. They come in and you get to see guys mature and grow, and it's a lot of fun to just see. You can tell he was nervous, and this is a stretch for him, but it's good. This is healthy and good for him to go through, and so that's the fun part of my job is all these guys you get to see grow. They need to grow up a little faster. I think, it goes back to the same thing just with these. I just want to say this to all the fans out there that, hopefully you stick with us. And as disappointed I'm sure you guys are, it's nothing compared to how disappointed I am and my players are. Like, we work really hard, and we're not going to accept this. We're going to – the standard's what it is, and we're going to keep fighting and getting after it. So I just want to make sure everybody knows there's nothing's changed. We're going to continue to work, and we're not accepting our issues, and we're going to work hard to fix them. But just understand there's never been a player ever to walk out there and go, I can't wait to let my teammates down. Like, no one's trying to make these mistakes, and so appreciate everybody's support.
As you get ready to head to Jacksonville State, we were just there, Coach, last year. What did you think when you saw the schedule? And wait, is that a misprint? How are we going to Jacksonville State 2 years in a row?
Yeah, well, don't get me started on that one. But I was definitely, disappointed. So they all of a sudden shuffle the deck, change all these things because somebody scheduled the game, and so everybody had to change. And, it was disappointing because it is a huge advantage for each team, whoever gets to play home. But it is what it is, and excited because they're a good football team, and, we've generally played well against them. But, again, we got to make the focus on us. If we don't play better, then we're not beating them, and our best chance to beat them is if we play better. So let's focus on the things that make us better, and hopefully we do it well enough that, go down there and get a Brickyard win.
And it is, again, they're up to number 8 in the country. It's a different road trip when you go to Jacksonville State. This is a 7-hour ride, and that's if you just go continually, and you never do that.
Right.
But, I mean, it's way different than if you're going to Murray. It's 2 hours. If you're going to Martin, it's 2 hours. This is a much different deal, so you do different things when you have to make this particular trip.
Yeah, for sure. Just as far as getting off the bus, when you eat, stretch, all those type of things. This is the only road trip we're going to have. All the rest are same-day travel. And so they haven't been in a hotel yet and all these things that we got to make sure, a lot of guys on the trip for the first time ever, so.
I noticed that Austin P had 4 buses when they brought their team over here. How many buses are you guys going to go
Same,
with?
going forward, and that's the social distance and all that. We're all tested. I got COVID tested this morning. We do it 3 days a week, but, they still want you to have 6 feet of space on a bus too, and so that way you don't get quarantined if there is a positive. So that's why we do it.
Jacksonville State lost its starting quarterback to injury, but Zion Webb is playing well for them. It's Webb and Bunch, the 2 leaders in the OVC in total offense. So the 2 quarterbacks that lead the league in total offense will be going at each other. They're playing well. I think they were down 10-0 yesterday to UT Martin and came back and rolled. What do you see when you're watching Jacksonville State on tape?
Haven't.
Okay.
I haven't watched them. We haven't followed the same opponent. And then,
sure.
Right now, like I said, today's all about SEMO. I won't even turn Jacksonville State on until tomorrow.
And what were your thoughts when you first heard that they're bolting? They're leaving the conference, and Eastern Kentucky is leaving the conference. What were your first thoughts when you heard that?
Disappointed. I think there's just stuff that was, surprised people, stuff that was behind the scenes a little bit. But it's certainly a concern, and the OVC needs to be proactive in making sure we refill that. And then it's dangerous. Now all of a sudden some other teams do it. Now we could lose our automatic bid and all those type of things. So I know the conference is, actively trying to find some other teams right now.
The weather forecast was not favorable going into the game yesterday, but it changed. I mean, we had a little sprinkle before the game, and that was it. And still, the official attendance, 2,200. I know it's socially distanced. You had to like the turnout because on days where, weather potentially is a factor, we've seen crowds be pretty small.
Yeah, no. SEMO football's important, like people care. I'm getting all kinds of text messages that are hard to read because people care and they're upset, and I'm glad. Thank you that people care enough that they're disappointed when the Red Hawks lose, and so very thankful that SEMO football means something to so many people.
All right, it's going to be a 2:00 kickoff in Jacksonville, Alabama. There are 2 schools in the OVC that are in the Eastern time zone. That's Moorhead and EKU, not Jacksonville. It'll be a 2:00 Central kickoff against the Gamecocks. And who knows? I mean, they're jumping conferences. Maybe the last time SEMO ever plays Jacksonville in football.
No. And they were the team we chased. Went through the season. We played them, and I knew right away that I had to adjust our recruiting a little bit and, kind of put them in the sights as the standard, and we kept reaching for them. So, we work year-round for this game, and gonna be fun.
I asked Geno if he had to pick a school, who does he think SEMO's biggest rival is in football, and he basically said everybody that we're going to play. Do you think Jacksonville State is your biggest rival in football?
In the conference? Yeah, for sure. I think so.
It feels like it, man. It's a different feeling when you guys play each other because you have played some slobber knockers.
Yeah. I think SIU is certainly the game.
They just beat another ranked team yesterday.
Yeah, beat number 4, beat Northern Iowa, and happy for Nick and those guys. They're playing really, really well right now.
How about their win over North Dakota State? Can you believe North Dakota State had won 39 straight football games? That seems impossible.
Impossible, yeah.
So that's that was a good team that you played right down to the wire with SIU. We didn't know it at the time. You could see it and say, hey, we think SIU's pretty good. Well, they've proven that they're really good.
Yeah, for sure. And, finding a way to win those close games. They got a lot of seniors, a lot of veterans. It kind of reminded me of our 2019 team a little bit. They were able to win those tight ball games.
All right. Match up with the Gamecocks, and you heard Coach Tuke say, yep, I think that's our biggest rival in football. So the rivalry game kicks at 2 o'clock on Sunday. Coach, thanks so much for the time. We'll see you in Jacksonville. All right. We'll get you back into ESPN radio programming, The Max Kellerman Show. Thanks again to Geno Hess and to Coach Tuke. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody. So long from Wings, etc.